Hello, everyone. It's Wednesday live audience show on Your View. Welcome to The View. I am Moriah. For Bravery Brown, as always, I have my lovely ladies in the building.
Excellent morning.
Nima, how you doing?
I'm very good, though. I'm very good.
You were here yesterday now?
Hey, I was.
How is traffic going back and forth?
It's better now. It's worse.
Whoa, how come?
So how did you make it?
So they're trying to clear the tankers, and yesterday I just sat there. I usually would go through Sele, come out at Okota. You know it's longer, but I just do it so that I don't want to get stuck in traffic. There's a short traffic you sit in and it's fine. But I decided yesterday, let me check whether the road is now free. And that was the mistake. It took me 2 hours
To get out.
between Soya and Second Rainbow, not Mile 2.
Oh my God.
So we just sat there. The tankers entirely took over one side of the road.
Wow.
And left us to our fate. So we stayed there.
Bele.
How you doing, Mariam?
I'm doing good. Yesterday I had this amazing meal.
Really, where?
It was fantastic. There's this nice place called The Shrine. I had the, what did we have? Turkey
Pottage.
and,
Okay, you
yes.
had okay.
But then I now took the pottage home for my children. My husband came home early and devoured the whole thing and has sent me on an errand to get more today. So.
There's a local
The
restaurant?
Shrine.
Oh, the shrine.
The same shrine.
Yes.
The shrine, we know the taste already. Now. The porridge.
I didn't know. I was just being
Right.
introduced to it.
I've gone back to get that rice, that fried the pepper stew. You can't get it.
They ask you for the pepper special.
Fantastic.
White rice with the beans and the fried turkey, and that's
That
pepper
turkey is
stew.
amazing.
Go to shrine. I think they put some instincts inside. It makes when you eat some shiny things are inside.
Shiny things.
Eat that shrine food. That would be. You'll be all right.
Kitchen.
Anyways, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I took a 1-week break from my book club because I needed to read for examinations. I resumed yesterday and they all missed me, and my people were hoping that we could have like a get-together. But the idea was for me you can join from any part of the world, but then if we have to have a get-together, it has to be people in Lagos. I can't travel to meet people. For now, we hope to go global, So I'll work on that, guys. I'll work on that. But first of all, read your books. I recommended a book last night.
Nice. What book is that? Can't remember.
I can't remember right now. I remember the name of the author.
Because you read too many books,
Dale
that's the problem.
Carnegie. Yeah. I can remember the name of the author right now, but the book in
That's the
question.
funny thing. I remember growing up, I read so many novels.
I
Ask
can't
me.
remember them now.
I only know the best authors that I loved reading their books, but I don't remember the story or the title of the
read
books.
all the
Let's say hello to members of our audience. We have people from Harrods College, I believe, from Alakbere. Harrods College, Alakbere. Thank you for joining us on the show. Although unannounced, we didn't know. They just showed up, but surprised us. So thanks for coming, though. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And so our regular audience, please, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate you here every Wednesdays. Thank you.
Bosa.
Right.
Bosa.
That would be your bosa. It's very weak.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Give us three
I needed
bosas for Wednesday.
3 bosa.
Bosa.
Now you're talking. Anyways, it's a heated Lagos on Wednesday. I mean, everybody's just, if I'm not only in Lagos, all the primaries have won.
Everywhere across Nigeria.
Let's go on a break. It's just a
party.
primary Wednesday on Your View. Stay with us.
Primary Wednesday.
We'll be right back. Right. So we're going to start with the punch. APC National Working Committee cancels Lagos governorship primaries, postpones exercise. Election was free, fair, says party state chairman. Ambole did well, but he's not a good party man, says Tinubu. Picture here, man jumps into Lagos Lagoon and dies. Power supply drops amid gas shortage, grid collapse also. Scores escape death as tanker fire destroys vehicles in Lagos. Federal government increases gas flare penalty from 10 naira to 613 naira. Stolen Lagos toddler sold in Delta, Anambra, and Enugu. Oshibajo jibes at Melaye Adeleke at Independence Dinner. It has not been plain sailing for Nigeria, Buhari admits. Presidency cancels FEC meeting over APC primaries. And ICANN blames stunted economy on bad politics and poor leadership. All right, so we have a picture here of the man who jumped into the lagoon.
Yes, poor man. Well, this happened yesterday, about 7:30 a.m. People noticed the man just walking towards the Lagos Island part of the bridge. And then he jumped in, got people screaming and shouting, and rescuers got in. They dived in, they got him out. But while he was being resuscitated, he died. So he's still unidentified. You know, it's really sad. I mean, that
so if people have issues, shouldn't they just talk to somebody about it? You don't have to end your life.
I don't know.
We don't
know. Until you walk in their shoes, you would not know.
My appreciation goes to the divers and the Lagos State Water Authority that were able to rescue him on time. I wish they're always around there to help.
Yeah. So the 2-year-old girl who was stolen by kidnap syndicates has been rescued by the police, Lagos State Police Command. And what happened was the mother left the child with relatives to go out. By the time she got back, the relatives didn't know where they left the child. The child was already kidnapped. Now, this child was kidnapped and sold to a buyer for $300,000 in Delta State. The buyer resold the child to another buyer in Anambra. And that one resold the child yet again to another person in Enugu. Finally, the police got hold of traced the child to Enugu and found out that the last person who bought the child had died. They were actually having a burial ceremony that day when the police recovered the child.
That's an Ikuyomi story, in fact.
What's Ikuyomi?
Because she would have also been in trouble, but death saved her.
Well, she's going to meet her maker. Let's see how safe she is.
All right. Let's move to the nation. Lagos APC primary fine. Oshomole tells of Buhari. PDP plans credible presidential primaries. BOI's $1.5 billion ready for firms and others. 10 vehicles raised in Lagos tanker fire. And also alleges plan to fix 350,000 naira tuition fee. So Bank of Industry is saying that they have $1.5 billion available for manufacturers. So people always tell you that don't go to banks for loans, but they are saying, listen, it's a single-digit interest, and they are willing to help manufacturers. So interested parties can come forward and get this loan.
I wish they put the terms in the story.
Right. ASU, who has that?
Okay, yes. ASU. So there's a fight brewing. And the zonal coordinator of ASU, Dr. Ade Adejima, says that maybe they would like the public to know that the federal government is trying to increase tuition fees for federal government universities to 350,000.
Bagang.
So, and they're wondering how they expect people to pay for 350,000, minimum 350,000 tuition. But the federal government is also saying that they're going to create like an education bank where students will go and get credit facilities for their education and then pay after they have finished school.
Like they do
so
abroad.
Now it's a problem.
But are we matured enough for that?
No, not with the present realities.
Exactly.
Minimum wage, condition of living, and all those other factors that make parents.
It's not even the right time
at
all. Just hanging there. Moving on very quickly to Vanguard. Confusion trails Lagos APC governorship primaries. Reject the 350,000 naira tuition fee hike, ASU tells Nigerians. Let's see. 3rd Mainland Bridge, man jumps into Lagos Lagoon and dies. We talked about that already. This scored as APC axes ex-IG Abba, Governor El Rufai's man. Scores escape death as tanker fire raises 9 vehicles in Lagos. And Delta APC governorship fallout, Oche Utomi vow not to work for Ogberu. Confusion mars Imo primaries as Uzodimma was to emerge winners. So the tanker fire that happened in Lagos, I think it's towards Badagry, I believe.
Happened at Barracks bus stop. That's the bus stop just after mine and before my parents-in-law. And it was terrible because the tanker was leaking. It had a leakage issue and it was leaking all the way. He escaped the fire that trailed after the petrol that leaked, and other people got caught. Fortunately, we didn't lose any lives, but they lost properties, cars, and my neighbor's business too was affected.
Oh, really?
Now, the unfortunate thing is the state of the roads always destroy cars and make it difficult to maintain cars for car owners living along the area. If we could just have the alternative of the Barracks Road. Within the Barracks, there's a road that opens at Lasu Sherry Road. Okay. That road has been locked for more than 9 years. they stated security issues. Boko Haram and all those issues that they stated are not affecting. But within the area, we have those difficulties happening. If you're coming that stretch of the road from Trade Fair to Iyanoba, there's no alternative. You have to stick to that bad road all the way. So for people living in that area, they're not smiling at all.
It's like a death
It's not
trap.
safe.
It's
at
a
all.
death trap, and imagine when a fire happened.
Goodness.
It happened at 5 a.m. yesterday. Fortunately,
They said 12 hours
it
later.
caused serious traffic behind, and it was easier
All right.
for us in front of
Let's move on to Daily Sun. Tinubu versus Ambode. It's fight to the finish. Confusion trails APC primaries in Lagos as someone who claims victory. Oshomo says, I told the president primary held. 9 vehicles destroyed in Lagos tanker fire. We talked about that. Senate, APC clears 7 governors, Kalu Akpabio. 13 killed in fresh Plateau violence. Lalong summons emergency security meeting. Inspector General loses suit seeking to stop Senate invitation. Imo Guber, stalemate as Okorocha's son-in-law, Uzodinma claimed victories. Why are people saying this is Tinubu versus Ambode? I thought it was a party issue. Why are they putting a face to the entire issue?
It's expected.
We've
now.
actually been seeing the faces.
There's a clear leadership in Lagos.
Yes, it's clear leader, but when the leader said, he was saying yesterday that he has to succumb to the wishes of the
party.
Of the party. So sometimes you just...
You know, sensationalization.
Face-
starts.
so
Major story?
yes, because of all the deaths that have been happening over time now, the governor, Simon Lalong, has summoned the head, Simon Lalong, thank you, summoned the heads of the security chiefs to make sure that they are on top of whatever is happening and secure the people.
today?
They've been saying that, we've been hearing that, but so far
I
so
doubt
good.
that
The
state
killings are
governments
still
have
going on.
powers to do
That's
this.
today?
I think it's a federal issue. I expect the federal government
Yeah,
to
and
be on top
Obiadulu
of
was
this.
like, would you take this story? I'm saying, I'm tired.
She left
I'm
the
tired
story
of
for
it
me.
now.
Your
See
story.
that?
I just want to hear good news.
New Telegraph. Let's see. Primaries APC in disarray. Lagos panel annuls exercise. Party chairman declares Sanwo-Olu winner. Deputy governor votes against Ambode. Oshomole National will continue. NWC says it is in control. Ogun. Sporadic shootings as thugs attack deputy speaker. Soldiers, in fact, Orishirishi. Imo, panel chair, secretary conduct different primaries. APC postpones exercise indefinitely. So across the states, we don't
Politics.
know for sure
So the problems-
who the winners are. But let me see the other bank stock posts 461 billion naira lost in Q3. Yes, you're going to say something,
So Ogun
Nima.
State particularly yesterday, because I listened to the press briefing by the SSG of Ogun State saying that the National Working Committee led by Adams Oshomole is trying to disunite the state. They've agreed on what they want.
Okay.
The National Working Committee should just come and do what the party people in the state want. Now, there's an anointed man by the governor who they say, even if you do an option A4 type of direct primaries that they did in Lagos,
still going to
it will
emerge.
still emerge. So they don't want the National Working Committee to do a ballot style that would favor the deputy governor, and you know there's a disunity in the state.
Well,
Warn
this
him
issue
seriously.
of methodology should have been agreed on because
That's
when
the
they have the
problem.
meetings, which one are we using ballot?
I just
using
think
the A4 option?
politicians just do not
The
understand
governors-
how to stick to something.
That
They
if-
must find ways to go behind, you know,
fact,
that's the
Especially if
thing.
it doesn't work
Let's
in
take-
their
Politicians are
favor.
just
Finally, we got to this day today. Ambode ousted, NWC backs Lagos primary, overrides Ibri's panel, orders declaration of results. PDP assures presidential aspirants of transparent convention. NDIC pays 11.50 billion naira to insured failed banks. Depositors recovers 28 billion naira debt. And MTN may suspend Nigeria's IPO, considers option. So they're not going to be raising money from our capital market anymore based on this fine that the federal government is the sanction they've actually put on them. Well, and finally, The Guardian, confusion rocks APC Lagos gubernatorial primary poll. And picture here of Bravery speaking. I mean, there's a lot of confusion. ASU Nans won against hiking tuition fee to 350,000. And I think that's about it on all the papers. Wow, we finished papers earlier than usual today.
I mean, the same story over and over.
So that's all we can take on the pages of the front pages. When we come back on our hot topic, we're going to discuss Indomie's event coming up this weekend. You know, we've done a series on Indomie Independence Day Award for the past few weeks. Now the event is coming up on Saturday, and we'll be bringing in some of the officials from Indomie Noodles to tell us exactly what's going to happen this Saturday and how many winners will emerge. And later, we'll dig deeper into these primary issues. Stay with us. We'll be right back. So, on Saturday, October 6th, 3 children will be going home with 3 million in the Indomie Independence Day Award holding in Lagos. The award, which is a corporate social responsibility organized by the Duffel Premier Foods, is aimed to reward children who have displayed bravery in 3 categories: physical bravery, social bravery, and intellectual bravery. On the program today is the Duffel Premier Foods Group Public Relations and Events Manager, Mr. Temitope Ashiwaju, and the Executive Director of Media Reach Investment, Mr. Yinka Adebayo. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
So, thank you for coming. For the past few weeks, we've been having interviews with different kids that have actually won these awards and shown all sorts of intellectual braveries, physical braveries. Now we've gotten to the high point because we're going to be getting new ones this weekend.
Right.
Tell us about the weekend this weekend and the plans for getting the new 3 winners this weekend.
Okay, good morning, viewers. What to expect this weekend is, initially we wanted to keep it in the wraps because it was going to be a lot of surprises. So I might not be sharing the stories per se.
Right.
But I'm sure that Nigerians will see wonderful things that have been done by these children. And when I saw some of those clips and some of those stories, actually, they were quite unbelievable until the videos were shown and we actually spoke to some of those children and believing that, oh, this actually came from them. And I say that to you that by the time we share the stories and by the time we share the videos with Nigerians, they will be amazed what these children are doing. And we know that there's a lot of hope for Nigerian kids.
I feel the excitement already from his expressions. He's really excited, and I'm excited too. Having 3 kids now who are going to be winning money, like 1 million each. That's huge.
At the least.
At the least, wow. So, how did you handle the selection process? How was it? How did the judges select these 3?
It's always in 3 categories. The search exercise is something that we go around the country combing through research agencies, through different platforms, social media platforms, and of course through TV stations like TVC and a couple of them. And after the search exercise, we bring them with this verification exercise, whereby we go back as a back-end check to see that these stories are not just conjured or just sat there in the room and people just write some of these stories for us. So we actually go back, do the verification exercise, and once we decide that, we also do a reenactment because some of these things had happened in the past. So for us to be able to visualize properly, we reenact some of those stories.
So like people start coming up with stories and then trying to put their lives in danger. Things that have happened and we know it happened.
There's this particular story which really caught my attention about the young girl at the time who alerted her father, I think, or her uncle. They were armed robbers trying to get. Yes, so we would not definitely want someone to try and get that all over again, So I was just wondering, who these judges that sit down and make the final decision, who are they?
Well, very credible judges in Nigeria. And for instance, if I permit me to say that, some of them we include a professor of law in the University of Lagos, Professor Abiola Son is there, Mr. Adeniyi is there, we have Mr. Dewale Elesho is there, and of course we have our own Morayo Afolabi Brown, who is also a judge.
I cried when I was watching some of the videos. Literally, I was in tears because you see how young people are doing so much. These kids are smart, they're intelligent. I was just crying like a baby. I couldn't even stop. It was Toyo Sakarele was like, Mara, take it easy. Focus. Because everybody was dabbing their ears because you see people going above and beyond. As a child, do so much. So
children doing that.
I think many Nigerians would be happy to see the winners on Saturday.
Or they're supposed to be sheltered and protected, and they're the ones doing amazing things. I wanted to know, we talked about whether there were academic and categories and all that, those kind of other things that you must, consider. A child that is exemplary, a child that, academically is, outstanding. What were the categories that you looked at this time around?
The categories are still the same. We're still going to look at, the physical bravery category, we're looking at the intellectual bravery category, and of course we're looking at the social bravery category, because we believe that these 3 categories virtually covers every aspect of life. And that
Come
is
to Mr. Adebayo, because Media Reach has been involved in this project practically from day one. You've helped push this out, and you've been on our case. Like, these guys, TVs, you got to be part of this project. You guys are where we believe in young people, and we believe in the future. We realize that a lot of young people are not being recognized. They're doing great things out there. Nobody knows them. So Media Reach has partnered with Indomie at the time to help push this out. How has been your experience, and how are you looking forward to this weekend?
Well, I think it's been wonderful. The experience has been awesome. You see, there's no limit to which you can celebrate the kids. It's always amazing. You just came out now saying that you shed tears. A lot of people are going to shed tears even on that day because you hear stories that you've never heard before. But on that day, like the brand we have, Indomie Noodles, we are going to be celebrating the kids like no other brand in this country. Last Saturday, most of the Nigerian kids were celebrated by virtue of our partnership with Nick Fest.
Yes,
An
okay.
amazing, awesome experience.
And Oga made sure I was happy.
So for the kids this year and the parents, it's going to be another major celebration this coming Saturday with the Indomie Independence Day Award. This is the 11th edition, and it's going to be big. When I say big, I mean big. Because beyond the story, we are going to have a whole lot of celebrities coming on here to perform. A whole lot of celebrities are going to be coming. They're going to be live story where the kids are going to be hearing live stories. It's going to be amazing.
Okay, you said, sorry, the 11 years, it's been quiet. We hear about it, but it's not in our faces. What made it such that this time around you pushed it in our faces, where we're actually seeing these kids coming on interviews? What
happened is that year in, year out, it's been an amazing experience. It's more like a high hope now to us to say, look, what we started small, we got to realize that it's now gotten bigger. And we felt, okay, fine, for this year, how can we really blow it out of the waters? And good enough, we had the opportunity of partnering with a station like TVC, who has succeeded in bringing past winners to kind of like show us the journey of where we are, how have we traveled thus far, to know where we are coming from, to know where we are today, and be rest assured that we are headed in the right direction. Yes. Because even the entries we've gotten this year has been wholesome. Even when we call up to say, look, entry close,
people are still sending.
And we are saying,
you know, that's what's very amazing, because if you have entries, it means that many entries, it means that there are so many children out there doing amazing things, and it's really amazing what you're doing, that you're making us, know about these children. But how do you cope with these numbers? How do you sit down now and, and put them together and don't make, then what happens to the ones that do not win, What do you do to those ones that do not make it? Yes, I have stories.
Okay. It might interest you to say that, virtually all those who have sent in stories, as far as the brand is concerned, they're all winners. Good. Because in their own rights, they feel, or they have written to us that they have done some kind of bravery acts. Now we say to ourselves that we can virtually not bring all of them to Lagos. And that's why we've given the responsibility of deciding who becomes the winner to the judges. They have done so much work putting all these things together and deciding who, because, for instance, if I say that my daughter or my youngest sibling fell down from the chair and I brought her up onto the chair, for me, I have done something wonderfully well. Fantastic. Some will have left the sibling cry, and nothing happened. So, but we're saying that beyond that, we have actually set so many criteria for them, and we say, okay, we're going to choose from all this, which we have done rightly, and we know that the judges, by the time, it's not something that I want to reveal right now.
Yes,
because the big day is actually Saturday, and I hope that as many Nigerians who have been invited will find time to come there.
So, sir, I'm really excited because we have young people, secondary school children, I believe, in our midst this morning. And this is more like an eye-opener. Now, I wanted you to just highlight, how do you think this award can encourage more bravery from young people like this?
Well, I think the beauty of that award is the fact that you see kids of your age who are doing things that ordinarily even adults would think twice before doing, and that should serve as a kind of source of inspiration to the young kids. The truth of the matter is, when some of us were growing up, when negative things happen in the society, the adults have a way of shedding it from the kids to say, look, don't disorient them. But what do we have these days? Even before, and you have so many negative things happening around, even before you adults say you want to shed it, the kids, they are the one even calling your attention to it, social media. So we need to constantly remind them to say, yes, all hope is not lost. There are still
and
hope
as one of the
somewhere.
judges, I'll
that's
come
why
to
we are
you.
bringing
I was privileged to understand the intellectual bravery they're referring to are things like inventions.
Yes.
Things that were created from scratch. You could actually solve a problem. Social is like doing things like social justice. You're helping to, you're fighting a
for
cause,
rights.
you know, and the other third one, the
Physical
physical is
behavior.
when you actually do something
Put
out of
yourself-
the ordinary where you almost put your life in danger, but somehow you're able to manage through that situation. So those are the various aspects people were actually awarded on, and we're able to streamline those to see those who really were deserving of this gift.
I believe that the recognition is enough encouragement for any child here to, you know, to want to do more. The fact that they get recognized.
Exactly.
And also, I wanted to talk about the reward. The 1 million is not just cash, you know, for someone to spend. It's scholarship.
Yes, but I mean, what would do? That's why I said, I mean, the 1 million is the least you'll get.
Yeah.
But the most importantly is that for you to even be recognized in your area and say, oh, that child was rewarded or was awarded, is a hero. I mean, that alone gives you and your family members the whole like, okay,
Recognition.
yes, I have been recognized for doing something good.
And even important people also pledge money.
Yes,
to
you
the
find out that
scholarship they
even
give.
apart from what we
this-
give, eminent Nigerians who've witnessed such stories or
They
who
are
come to
moved
the event
to-
were moved. I mean, we've had situations whereby money were actually doubled
Yeah,
that
sure,
day for
sure.
you.
That day for the winners.
I don't know if you already did it.
Unfortunately, we have to run. Well, thank you very much. Wish you all the best
Thank you.
this weekend, and we hope that the other kids who didn't make the final three will at least get some kind of recognition, either through
sure.
a
Yeah,
website,
sure.
we'll see them, because we need to continually encourage young people.
Then let me equally add to that. This event is strictly by invitation, but the truth of the matter is that we're actually partnering with some stations to take the event live.
Wow.
So on Saturday, if you are not able to attend the event, please stay glued to your TV set. TVC News, they are going to be taking it live
Yeah,
from 5 p.m. till around
418.
8 p.m. So you can actually have a feel of what's happening at Federal Palace Hotel in the comfort of your homes.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. That's all we can take. When we come back to commemorate the coming World Mental Health Day, we have with us our special guest. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Thanks for staying with us. Mental health issue is becoming prevalent in our society. Every day we hear different stories of how people commit suicide or are depressed. Reports has it that half of every mental case starts between the age of 14. In commemorating the World Mental Health Day, which comes out next week, October 10th, we have with us a mental health expert, Priscilla Benjamin Olayi. Welcome to the show, Priscilla.
Thank you very much.
You can call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag UVTVC so we can read your tweets. We definitely cannot exhaust mental health, so we will have to probably bring you back again. But just in the papers today, a man fell off the bridge.
Jumped off.
Not if he didn't fall off, he jumped off the bridge. So, I mean, and we hear these things almost every other day. People have issues, they're ill, but many of them can't tell because it's not written on their faces. Now, I would like us to start with, because we have kids in the audience today, how does a parent observe that my child might be mentally ill?
Okay, thank you. It's important, I think, that first of all, we know what mental health is and what mental health is not. What mental illness is and what mental illness is not. Yeah, so we cannot know the ugly side when we don't know what the good side is. So when we hear mental health, right? It's totally different from mental illness.
Good.
So what really is mental health? There are 4 parameters for which mental health is being measured. First is the fact that an individual must be able to recognize his own potentials or abilities. So when an adult is unable to know that this is what I'm able to do, what are my potentials, then that person, that's the first yardstick. Second yardstick is that the person must be able to contribute productively and fruitfully to his or her community. So a child, for example, is able to contribute something to the home. He's able to, take responsibility for some things, just have some form of contribution to the family. Also, the person must be able to work fruitfully and productively. So, if it's a teenager, how productive is this teenager? In the social sphere, in the home, in the school, and all of that. So when these yardsticks are absent, then we say that the person does not have good mental health.
Okay.
Right.
Of course,
so
that makes sense.
Right. So it's really not about someone who is speaking irrationally or someone who is unable to eat, sleep, and the way we perceive the most popular of them all, which is depression, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about depression and say, oh, the person is unable to sleep, is unable to, is feeling sad, and it goes beyond all of that.
At what point does it jump to illness?
Okay, good. So the moment the life functioning is being inhibited, so what are the things in your life? So we want to look at the physical activities, for example. The person is unable to perform certain activities that he usually would perform, then you know that something has gone wrong. Or probably the person is unable to involve in social interactions. So all of that. I particularly would say that psychiatrists, psychologists, clinicians are burdened with the number of people who are breaking down. And that's why I particularly have said, I would rather do preventive mental health. What do you and I need to know? That I can come here and tell you about schizophrenia, tell you about bipolar affective disorder, but how does that change the narrative of what's going on? So I think it's particularly important.
How do we deal with schizophrenia in a community where we see it as having spiritual power? So someone is having Chinese blues and is seeing and is saying, okay, this person is evil, this person is nice, this person is this, and they'll say, oh, where me? You speak Yoruba. The person is down, the person is in spirit, he's seeing future, he's seeing past, and these things, and that's how we deal with those kind of things. We don't call it schizophrenia, we call it powers. How do we deal with those kind of things?
There is the religious and cultural impact and influence on our perception of what mental illness is. I will not doubt that. And in fact, that in itself is another big topic that we cannot exhaust.
You were saying something about there's a difference between mental health and mental illness, and how already there's a stigma.
Right.
I mean, someone just says you are mental. We have just put mental to mean the illness. You are mental.
So your mental does not mean anything basically, because there is just the way you have your physical health. Is the way you have, so people talk about arthritis, your physical health, that's the way you say you have your mental health or your social health. So it's mental health is not mental illness, right? But your question there.
So the question is now, from what I gather you're saying that, so all of us sort of have we could have a little bit of mental health issues sometimes. No, I don't mean mental illness. No,
I'm loving that.
But yes, but like maybe there's like a spectrum or a range of the issues you could have mentally, and it could be caused by different things. But specifically, because especially we have children here, and I was reading somewhere where it says some of these issues occur when you're about 14 years old. That way you get like most of them. That's when you notice from 14 years old, and I was wondering if there was something.
In fact, I'll shock you that statistics reveals that more adolescents suffer mental illness than physical illness.
Okay, so
because there are lots of kids here. They're going through a lot of issues. I know you don't want to put it on the spot, but there are lots of people. As a teenager, we've all been teenagers.
Right.
Issues of your look, your friendships. You want to be in, bullies. You're not smart enough. There's so many issues.
Right.
Now, as a parent, how do you observe these things? How do you pay attention, and how do you know how to help these children?
Okay, a mentally healthy parent is only able to help a child become mentally healthy.
Okay.
So,
you have to be first.
So first of all, for you, what are the preventive measures? What are the things you need to know? So when we talk preventive mental health, what are the things I need to know? And Mariah, that was what made me decide to build this curriculum, that I'm talking about. So it's a 4-part curriculum. The first part is preparation for life. What are the things I need to know before life happens? Good. How do I get emotionally ready to face the world? And it's so interesting because we have different subgroups. We have the educational subgroups, for example, that go to schools to teach this curriculum to young people. So preparation, it's Project Peak. So P is preparation for life. And what do I need to know? So we want to help people guard their gatekeepers. How does information get into your mind? What you see, what you read.
For the parent, that's what the child is.
Everybody, for everybody, because like I said, it takes an emotionally stable parent to be able to help a child become emotionally stable.
You mentioned about having children take up responsibilities at home is one of the ways you know this child is mentally healthy.
All right.
So now I had a conversation with someone who I was in school with for 9 weeks. I never noticed her. She was always isolated. And then I started talking to her on the day of exams. And she said she doesn't have friends, she doesn't like talking to people, people have broken her heart and hurt her and all of that. What's the thin line between you choosing to be on your own or you being introverted to someone who's having a mental breakdown?
Oh, fantastic question. I think first of all, the individual, you have to understand that whatever people's perception is becomes their reality. So, for example, that person has been put into that mental box because she believes that there are people have hurt her, people are not to be trusted, people are this, people are that. And you see, that continually would inform her social relationships. Now, it's not only behavioral changes that you observe in people for you to know that they have some. Some people do not show certain behavior, but if they go through assessment, you would find gaps, in who they were before and who they have become. And who they have become. Okay. And that's not because you have some people who are extroverted before, and later they become introverted. I mean, you and I went through all of those changes, but we oftentimes say that you cannot make a diagnosis on one single symptom. For a diagnosis to be made, there's a yardstick. There are, manuals and yes.
Okay, so there was something you're already talking. You're talking about peak, and you just said preparation.
Preparation for life. Yes. Yeah. So I said that so there are sub-modules in preparation for life. First is guarding your gatekeepers. The things you hear. How do I protect myself? How do I preserve? There's the external environment and there's the internal environment. So how do I preserve with all of what's going on outside? How do I preserve, what I allow in there? Then you have mental detoxification. I talk about that all the time. We cleanse our bodies. We cleanse our bodies. We go through water therapy. We take lime. We take herbs to cleanse. Oh my goodness!
We'll be right back because I really want to have a conversation with some of the members of our audience because people are going through a lot of stuff and they need. As I said, we can't finish this topic, so we're going to bring it back again. But I'd like to hear your views on how mentally healthy are you? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
So we have a few questions from our audience. Let me go very quickly to the lady in green. Go ahead, please.
So I want to ask a question. Got into admission into university, you want to study mass communication, and you, they want, they now gave you marketing, and you cannot cope with that subject, and it become an illness to you. Then what can that student do? Because I know a lot of students passing through that kind of thing in the university.
Okay, so in a nutshell, what she's saying is that you're a student, you pick a subject, but you're forced to take another one, and then your lecturer tells you, deal with it, it's normal.
Get over it.
Get over it. How do you solve that kind of problem?
First of all, I remember saying that, PEAK was an acronym, P, preparation for life, E is empathy and love for humanity. So empathy and love for self and humanity. Right. So people, for example, that teacher rarely just needs what we call psychoeducation. Educating him on, how these things affect people emotionally. And
so he should be more empathetic.
So he could have been more empathetic. So a lot of times we just say, get over it. Oh, deal with it. Oh, is that all? If you hear my own problem, then you will know that yours is. People deal with what they deal with. And I love how pain is being described, for example. Pain is what the person says it is, occurring at the time the person says it's occurring, and at the intensity that the person feeling it says it is. So if someone says that this... Yes, so if someone says this is a big deal to me, then we must all recognize that it's a big deal to them. The fact that it's little to you does not mean. So that a lot of teachers, and I'm glad that we go into schools as well, to say that the fact that you're a counselor is not to mean that you should only talk to them about educational factors.
Can you take one more question from the little girl in uniform? Go ahead, please. I need you to hold the mic, please. Go ahead.
Like I have a classmate, like she loves excluding herself from us. She feels like isolated. She feels that the world is all against her. Anytime we try talking to her, she feels that we are making her wrong. But I'm kind of person that is very close to her. If you really are close to her, you feel that she's kind of fun, caring, she's nice, she's good, but she does not like exhibiting it outside.
Right.
She has a great potential that every child wants to be close to her to learn.
Thank you very much for that question. So young kids have friends. Some act like, I don't want to be a friend, but when somehow, and they exclude themselves. As a teenager, you have friends like that. What do you do?
So what I hear is a lot of labeling. We are used to labeling people based on their behavior. So when you look at someone, when you label someone based on behavior, it becomes a problem. But when you recognize that every behavior is purposeful, meaningful, and goal-oriented. There is a purpose to every behavior. There is a meaning that behavior is giving, and it's goal-oriented. The person wants to achieve something with that behavior. Yeah. So when you find people behaving a certain way, you have to ask why, instead of labeling them with that behavior. So for your friend, I love the fact that you have identified her first as a human being, not as her behavior, right? So I would encourage that you continue to give her that emotional support that you have been giving her. You are a therapist in your own right because you have done what so many people would have neglected to do.
Let me take one more question from the audience and I'll come to Nima. Yes, go ahead, please.
My question is this. A person whose mental illness emanated from permanent financial constraint, in that regard, how could we correct such a problem?
So relating poverty to
there's a research. We've seen several research on linking poverty to mental illness, right? I defined what mental health is when this show started, and the second factor is the ability for the person to cope with the normal stresses of life. So what are the normal stresses of life? Financial pressure, loss of a loved one, and all of these things, normal stresses of life. So if an individual is unable to cope with the normal stresses of life, then that person's coping skills is very low. So if for that person is money, because there are loads of people who have money and have mental illness.
Thank you.
So it's really not about the presence of physical cash, but their perception of wealth and what they do not have. A lot of us pay attention to what we do not have. A lot of us pay attention to what is missing in our lives, and we do not celebrate what we have. And so because we do not celebrate what we have, what we have becomes non-existent. So that person, so we need to compartmentalize what it is we're going through. If we're going through health challenges, we then begin to look at other areas that is working for us, right? So it's helping that person with coping skills. That person naturally would. Mental illness can be caused by several factors. That's probably just a factor for that person. Right. But the person can be taught coping skills and other ways to
do you have like a body or a program that you put together to address these issues, or an event that you do periodically to address these issues?
Absolutely. So in commemoration of the World Mental Health Day, which is the 10th of October, next week Wednesday, we are unveiling the PEAK Network, TPN. This is to take this preventive measure. Some of the things I have shared while speaking. The P is preparation for life. The E is empathy empathy and love for self and humanity. The A is attitude and emotional awareness, becoming emotional aware of yourself, what's going on. Every emotion you feel is called something. So you identifying that this is what I feel per time, and this is what this emotion is doing to me. And the last one is K, which is knowledge and mental resilience, mental toughness, ability to cope with the normal stresses of life, which is what I talked about.
Let's take a few tweets for a round up.
Yes, so Mr. Adeboye here says, our social structure in the country makes it difficult to identify who really is in need of mental health support. We do not have any social and welfare packages to this effect. We have a long way to go. And my concern is, even if we have private people like you who are coming up to organize programs, can the common man afford it?
So this PEAK program, for example, this PEAK network, for example, is free. We're not charging a dime to do it. for me, mental health, mental health advocacy is more than a life's work. It's a passion. And that's why anybody who is able to just bring people together, of course, they access this curriculum for free. It's available online, it's available physically depending. So we do churches, we do mosques, we do schools.
I was going to go there, but we don't have time for that because, as I said, we can't exhaust this, and hopefully we're going to have a part 2 or part 3 of this. But we need to involve the issues of churches and religious bodies because people don't look for help to professionals. They look to the imams, the founders, spiritual heads, and they're always constantly casting out demons. So we need to address...
Something, Mariah, I think Nigerians, we need to learn more empathy. Usually we don't have that.
We only have sympathy. So sympathy is, oh, sorry. And then empathy, what can I do to help?
Right. All right, that's all we can take. I hope you learned a few things as much as we did. Thank you very much, Priscilla.
Thank you.
That's all. The Indomie actually left some gifts for our audience. So thanks so much to Indomie. So have a fabulous day. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.